like to take some time out today to talk to you about the scissors that I use, the stabilizers, and my thread nets. I get asked a lot about these, so I thought it would be useful just to inform you. I use two pairs of scissors. I've got these, which are double curved, and I tend to use these when I'm cutting through more than one layer. There's nothing special about them other than that they're sharp and they do the job. They've got a nice point. I can get into the corners with them and they do the job. The other scissors that I use are these, and they're known as Squizzors, and I love them. They're not actually made for doing this. I actually stumbled across their use in machine embroidery. My old double curved scissors were getting blunt, and I was waiting for a new pair to arrive, and it was holding up video production. So I was hunting around the house and I came across these. I use them for parchment craft and hard danger embroidery, and I thought, well, they're the right shape, I'll give them a go. And I did, and they were absolutely brilliant. So that's why I use those. Also, because you have a squeezing action rather than any pressure over your thumb like you get with double curved, anybody with arthritis will find that they're much more comfortable. So that covers my scissors. There's nothing magic about any of them. It's just practice, 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 whatever you use. I also use thread nets, and these stop my thread from falling off the cone. They come in different sizes. This one is very stretchy, so I use it on my larger cones, and this one isn't so stretchy, so I use it on my standard embroidery thread cones, the ones, you know, for 500 to 1100 meters. I buy it by the meter, and the good thing about these is that you can leave it on when you're embroidering. You don't have to remove it. The only thing I will suggest, though, if you do, is that you slacken off your tension maybe by 1 or 2 points. So, because this obviously will provide a little bit of resistance, but it's great because it stops it, especially when you're using threads that sort of like to spring off, and some brands do that. I use Brothread and Sim thread, and I find that the Brothread ones like to spring off of the cone, so it keeps them in check. Thirdly, I'd like to talk about the stabilizers that I use, and I use 3 different ones. I use wash away, I use cut away, and I use like a plastic film when I'm doing anything that's got a nap or pile. So I'm going to put those aside a minute, and we'll talk about the wash away stabilizer first. I use wash away stabilizer, and this one is by Super Punch, and it's called H2O Gone FSL, and the FSL stands for freestanding lace. So it's a nice, strong, versatile stabilizer, and I use that for on anything that's got an embroidered edge. So coasters, multiple hooping objects are often joined and have embroidered edges, bunting, etc. Then I also use cutaway, and I use that for anything that has what looks like a seamed edge that hasn't got an embroidered edge. And the reason being that if you use this with an embroidered edge, it would poke through and show when you come to trimming it all up when you take it out of the hoop, whereas wash away, you can actually get rid of it just with a little bit of water. So anything that has a stitched edge, I use cutaway. I don't use tear away. I just find that I don't have a use for it. That's not to say that it doesn't have its place, but I personally don't use it. And finally, there is this one. It's a thin plastic wash away stabilizer. It's no good for hooping. It's very stretchy and it will just tear, especially when it comes to doing the satin stitching and things like that, anything that's stitch dense. But if you're doing monograms on towels or anything where there's a nap or loft to the fabric, for example fleece, toweling, fur, anything like that, you place it over the top, tape it down or hold it and do your stitching, and it stops the stitching sinking in to your fabric. So it's really good, but not to be used on its own in the hoop. There are stabilizers that are plastic-like, that are much thicker. I don't use them personally, but I know people that do, and it's often used for freestanding lace, and it's very, very thick plastic, and it doesn't stretch in the same way that this stuff does. I'll put links to all the things that I've shown you today in the video description, so do take a look there, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and as always I will do my best to answer you. If you found this information useful, if you did, please give me a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to be notified of new videos as they're published, and thank you very much for joining me.